You got to understand something in 2025. Silence is not weakness, it's power. It's control. It's the ultimate sign that you are no longer on the same frequency as the nonsense. Listen to me. There's a version of you that's still out here reacting to every insult, every shade, every fake smile, every little petty jab people throw your way. And I get it. I really do. You want them to know they can't mess with you. You want to clap back. You want to show them you're not the one to play with. But let me tell you something real. They already know. That's why they're doing it. They already see your light. They already feel your power. And their only strategy is to pull you out of position, to get you emotional, to make you explain yourself, to get you arguing, defending, reacting. Because when you start reacting, you stop leading. You stop focusing. You start giving away your presence, your discipline, your energy. And that's what they want. They want to drain you through your reactions, but not in 2025. No. In 2025, you're moving in silence. You're cutting ties without sending announcements. You're walking away without the need to be seen because you finally get it. Real power doesn't speak, it moves. It doesn't shout, it doesn't beg, it doesn't clap back. It decides, it acts, it walks away. And I'm not saying you let people walk all over you. I'm saying you don't give them the privilege of disturbing your peace. Some of y'all are arguing with people who don't even have goals. You're explaining yourself to people who were never going to understand you anyway. You're trying to prove your worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Why? Why are you spending so much of your emotional energy reacting to people who don't even deserve access to your mind, let alone your time? Let me say it again. Your silence is not weakness. It's strategy. It's wisdom. It's self-respect. When you stop reacting, you start conserving energy. And when you conserve energy, you start gaining momentum. You stop swinging at distractions and start building your future. And that's what this year is about. It's about building. It's about constructing the version of you that doesn't have to defend themselves every 5 minutes. The version of you that understands their value so deeply, they don't need outside validation. You don't need to reply. You don't need to post a paragraph. You don't need to call a meeting. Sometimes you just stop showing up. You just stop responding. Stop entertaining. You take your energy back. You take your time back. And the people who needed your reaction to feel important, they crumble in your absence. Let them wonder. Let them sit in confusion. Let them have a meeting about what happened. Let them gossip. Let them make up a story to protect their ego. That's not your concern anymore. Your concern is your growth, your peace, your purpose. Some people only exist in your life because you keep responding. That's the only connection you have. Your reaction is the bridge that keeps them close. You cut the bridge, you cut the access. And you don't even have to do it loudly. You just do it. Quietly, consistently, silently. They'll get the message, trust me. And I know it's hard. It's hard to stay quiet when everything in you wants to speak up. When you feel like you've got to stand your ground. When you feel like silence means they win. But listen, silence doesn't mean they win. It means you've already won. It means you've already evolved past the need for validation, past the need for the last word, past the need to be understood by people who are committed to missing the point. This is next level maturity. This is next level leadership. Because the moment you realize you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to, you free yourself. You unlock another level of clarity. And in that clarity, you hear your calling again. You hear your dreams again. You hear your voice again, not their noise, your voice. And that's what they were drowning out this whole time, your voice, your direction, your identity. But in 2025, you're turning the volume down on everything that doesn't align. And silence is your volume control. You don't need to raise your voice to prove a point anymore. You don't need to react to be powerful. Your absence is loud enough. Your peace is proof. Your focus is revenge. The next level doesn't come with arguments. It comes with separation. It comes with clarity. It comes with walking away from anything and anyone that costs you your peace of mind. You don't owe them words. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them understanding. What you owe is to yourself, to protect your future at all costs. And if silence is the price, then pay it with confidence. Because not everything deserves your voice. Some things deserve your absence. Cut them off silently. In 2025, I need you to understand this one truth. Energy is currency. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Your energy is currency. It's not just your time that's valuable. It's not just your skills or your talent. It's your energy. It's what you give your attention to, what you allow to enter your space, what you spend your mental, emotional, and spiritual strength on every single day. See, some of you are going broke, not financially, but emotionally, because you're spending energy on things that have no return. You're investing in arguments that don't elevate you. You're chasing people who've already shown you they're not for you. You're paying attention to negativity, doubt, gossip, insecurity, and drama, and wonder why your spirit feels bankrupt. Wondering why you're tired even when you've had 8 hours of sleep. Wondering why your vision feels foggy, your drive feels low, and your creativity is gone. It's because you've been spending energy in the wrong places. You give your energy to people who drain you and then wonder why you got nothing left to put into your dream. You spend hours trying to explain your worth to people who've already made up their mind about you and then wonder why you feel stuck, like you're not moving. But it's not your potential that's the problem. It's your energy management. You've got a gift. You've got a calling. But if your energy is scattered, you'll never have the focus to build it. You'll never have the clarity to see the next step. And here's the truth. Not everybody deserves access to your energy. Just because they text you doesn't mean you respond. Just because they showed up doesn't mean you let them in. Just because they apologized doesn't mean they changed. See, 2025 is not the year for emotional charity. You hear me? This is not the year where you keep giving energy to situations and people that do not serve your future. I'm not saying be heartless. I'm saying be disciplined, be intentional. You got to protect your energy the same way a millionaire protects their bank account. You got to start asking, if I give this my attention, what do I get back? And if the answer is pain, confusion, wasted time, anxiety, or a step backwards, cut it off. Cut it off without drama. Cut it off without explanation. Cut it off without guilt. Because every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to your purpose. Some of you are exhausted because you're carrying too many people who should have been left in 2024. You're dragging dead weight into a season that requires you to be light, fast, focused. You keep in on people who don't check on you. You keep supporting people who never clap for you. You keep trying to keep peace in relationships that only exist to disturb your peace. Let me tell you something. That's expensive. That's costing you more than you realize. You think you're being nice. You think you're being loyal. But what you're really being is distracted. What you're really being is drained. And you can't fulfill your assignments with an empty tank. You can't lead anybody if your soul's on life support. This is the year to audit your energy. Take a good look at your circle, at your habits, at your schedule. What's feeding you? What's fueling you? What's helping you build? If it's not building you, it's breaking you. It's that simple. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to wish bad on them. You just have to stop funding their access to you with your energy. Some people are only surviving because you keep showing up. Some habits are only alive because you keep feeding them. Some situations are only active because you keep reacting. But when you stop paying attention, they die. When you stop responding, they fade. When you stop giving them your energy, they disappear. That's your power, your attention, your focus, your presence. That's your currency. That's what they want. Because they know that if they can distract you, they can delay you. And if they can delay you, they can detour you from your destiny. but not this year, not this time, not in 2025. This year, you're on a mission. You're building something that can't afford leaks. You're stepping into something that can't be delayed. You're stepping into something that requires your full strength, your full focus, your full fire. And you can't do that with energy vampires attached to your life. You've got to protect your space like your future depends on it, because it does. You've got to stop replying to every message, entertaining every invite, reacting to every little thing that comes your way. You've got to be ruthless about your peace, ruthless about your focus, ruthless about your energy, because at the end of the day, this isn't about cutting people off just to prove a point. It's about preserving what's sacred, preserving your clarity, preserving your mental health, preserving your potential. And if silence is the cost, if walking away is the cost, if being misunderstood is the cost, pay it. Let them think what they want. Let them gossip. Let them twist the story. That's fine. Because while they're talking, you're building. While they're watching, you're growing. While they're stuck in the same place, you're rising. And when they look up and see what you've built with all the energy you stopped wasting, that's when they'll understand. But you won't even need to say a word. Spend your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Let me make this crystal clear. You can't elevate and stay connected to everything and everyone you were attached to at the lower level. You can't fly if you're still trying to hold hands with the things that are anchored to the ground. At some point in your life, and especially in 2025, you've got to come to terms with this truth. Elevation requires separation. You don't grow by clinging. You don't move forward by staying in familiar circles. And you definitely don't evolve by keeping people around just because they've been there for a long time. Longevity doesn't equal loyalty, and presence doesn't equal purpose. Some people were only meant to be a part of your story for a chapter, but you're out here trying to give them the whole book. And I know it's hard. I know you've got history. I know you've laughed with them. But if they're not growing, if they're not building, if they're not challenging you to rise higher, then that relationship is now a liability. That connection is now a chain. You can't carry dead weight into destiny. See, 2025 is not about popularity. It's about alignment. This is not about who likes you. It's about who sharpens you. Who holds you accountable? Who speaks life into you when you're ready to quit? Who reminds you of your purpose when your vision gets blurry? If they're not pushing you, they're pulling you. If they're not feeding you, they're draining you. You don't need a crowd. You need clarity. Some of you are stuck right now, not because you don't have talent, not because you lack opportunities, but because you're afraid to outgrow the people around you. You're afraid that if you change, you'll lose them. So you shrink yourself. You downplay your goals. You delay your progress just to stay connected to people who were never built to go where you're going. But I need you to hear me today. You're not being disloyal by growing. You're not being arrogant by evolving. You're not wrong for wanting more. You're not selfish for choosing peace. Sometimes the greatest act of self-love is to let go of what no longer fits who you're becoming. There are some rooms you can't sit in anymore, not because you're better than anybody, but because you're becoming someone different. There are conversations you can't entertain anymore. There are habits you've got to bury. Places you can't show up at, people you can't give access to, not because you hate them, but because you love yourself enough to protect your growth. Elevation isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like isolation. Sometimes it looks like losing friends. Sometimes it feels like loneliness. But I promise you that separation is sacred. That silence is where God recalibrates your spirit. That distance is where you discover your strength. That discomfort is where you start becoming everything you were created to be. You're not going to get to your next level by dragging everyone with you. You can't carry people who won't walk. You can't convince people who don't want to believe. You can't motivate people who love mediocrity. And you definitely can't let guilt keep you in places you've already outgrown. Let them go. Not out of anger, but out of awareness. Let them go. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started caring about you. Let them go because you understand that every seed doesn't grow in the same soil. And some of the people you love, some of the people you prayed with, struggled with, grew up with, they simply cannot survive the altitude of your next season. They don't have the mindset, they don't have the discipline, they don't have the vision. And if you try to bring them up while they're committed to staying down, they'll only end up pulling you back to where you already escaped from. You've got to decide, are you going to stay stuck trying to keep everyone comfortable, or are you going to rise and fulfill your calling? Because you can't do both. You got to pick one. I'm talking to the person right now who knows deep down that there's more in you, more for you, more ahead of you. But you're wrestling with the fear of letting go. You don't want to hurt feelings. You don't want to be judged. You don't want to be misunderstood. But let me ask you, how long are you going to dim your light so others don't feel uncomfortable? How long are you going to put your growth on pause just to maintain false peace? How long are you going to lower your standards just to be accepted by people who secretly resent your potential? You were not built to blend in. You were not created to stay average. You were not called to live in survival mode. There is greatness in you, but greatness always comes with a price. And most of the time, that price is separation. So stop resisting it. Stop fighting the process. Stop clinging to people, patterns, and places that you already know are beneath the level you're supposed to be on. Stop calling it loyalty when it's actually fear. Stop calling it love when it's really a lack of boundaries. In 2025, it's not about proving your worth to anyone. It's about protecting your worth from anything that threatens it. You've got a purpose to fulfill. You've got people to impact. You've got a legacy to build. And you can't do any of that if you're still entertaining circles that keep you small. If you want to elevate, you got to separate. No announcement, no argument, no guilt, just growth. It's time to rise and to rise. I got the release. You need to hear this. Peace is not a luxury. It's a requirement. In 2025, your peace has to be non-negotiable, not optional, not something you find when you have time. No, it has to be a standard, a baseline. Because when you've got peace, you've got clarity. And when you got clarity, you make better moves, better decisions, and better progress. But if your mind is chaotic, if your emotions are out of control, if your life is filled with tension and noise and unnecessary drama, then I don't care how gifted you are, you won't go far. Talent will take you places, but only peace can help you stay there. See, too many people are trying to build a future on top of a storm. You're out here trying to chase goals, start businesses, level up, while your inner world is on fire, and you wonder why it never feels. You're like enough. Why everything feels forced, why your momentum keeps stalling. It's because you're not operating from peace, you're operating from pressure. You're still trying to prove something, you're still trying to be accepted, you're still carrying the weight of what they did to you. You're still trying to fix relationships that were never yours to fix in the first place. And all of that noise is killing your focus, killing your joy, killing your vision. So in 2025, I need you to protect your peace like it's your passport to purpose. Because it is. Peace doesn't just happen. It's not passive. You've got to fight for it. You've got to choose it. And that means you got to stop entertaining what disturbs it. Some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. You know who throws you off. You know what conversations leave you drained. You know what environments make your anxiety spike. And yet you keep going back. You keep replying. You keep giving it one more chance. For what? You already know what it costs. You already know what it takes from you. Every time you engage, it leaves you worse. So what are you trying to prove? That you can handle it? That you're strong enough to endure it? Let me tell you something. Real strength is walking away from what weakens you. Real discipline is not just in what you do. It's in what you refuse to entertain. It's in saying, no, I'm not picking up that phone today. No, I'm not explaining myself again. No, I'm not going back to a situation that cost me my peace the last 10 times. You got to be unapologetic about your peace. Because here's the truth. Not everybody benefits from you being calm, clear, and focused. Some people only feel powerful when you're broken. Some people only feel important when they're needed to fix your mess. Some people only feel secure when you're confused. That's why they stir the pot. That's why they push your buttons. That's why they keep you involved in chaos. Because your clarity threatens their comfort. Your boundaries expose their manipulation. Your peace silences their control. So what do? They create storms to keep you distracted. Because as long as you're fighting fires, you're not building your future. As long as you're stuck in emotional cycles, you're not walking in purpose. As long as you're drained, they don't have to worry about you shining too bright. But in 2025, we're done with that. We're not giving people the power to disturb our spirit. We're not giving guilt the authority to keep us in unhealthy places. We're not sacrificing our peace to keep people comfortable. You got to ask yourself, how much is your peace worth? Because every decision you make either protects it or compromises it. Every relationship either adds to it or takes away from it. There's no middle ground. And this year, you got to be bold enough to make the hard cuts, to silence the noise, to stand in your stillness. And I know silence can feel unfamiliar. Peace can feel boring when you've been used to chaos. Some of y'all don't even know what calm feels like anymore. You've lived in crisis mode for so long that rest feels foreign, stillness feels uncomfortable. But let me tell you, peace is not the absence of movement, it's the presence of alignment. It's knowing who you are, it's knowing what you're building, it's knowing what to walk away from and what to lean into. Peace isn't about everything being perfect. It's about you being anchored no matter what's happening around you. And you don't get that by accident. You get it by choice every day. You get it by setting boundaries. You get it by saying no to toxic conversations. You get it by praying instead of reacting, meditating instead of arguing, walking away instead of staying to prove a point. Some people think peace is soft, weak, passive, but it's the opposite. It takes strength to be calm in chaos. It takes discipline to not respond when provoked. It takes maturity to choose your mental health over temporary emotions. And let me tell you, peace is loud. It's loud in how it moves, loud in how it separates, loud in how it transforms you. Because once you've tasted peace, real, deep internal peace, you'll never settle for dysfunction again. You'll never tolerate fake connections, surface level conversations, or emotional manipulation again. You'll start walking different, talking different, making decisions differently. And the people who fed off your chaos, they won't know what to do with your calm. The people who relied on you being reactive, they'll be confused by your silence. But that's okay. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be free. Protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does.